Akhetaten's Gates, Chapter 24. I grabbed Akhenaten by his ears, making him yelp in pain and fright. He hadn't expected that I would do such a thing as he tried to lean down and kiss my forehead. "That's it! Next time, you can give birth!" "Ow, ow, ow. Believe me, Nefertiti, if I could. Ow, I would. Ow! Anything is better than this!" He whimpered and whined. "But I am 100% man. I just can't grant that wish. Ow!" T scuttled over and grabbed hold of my arms, coaxing me to release my husband's head. "Nefertiti, let's think sensibly now. A king needs his head. Be a good girl and let him have it back, okay?" "He's in my way," Troll Nurse complained. Yes, that old bag was still alive. Reluctantly, I released him, sending him flying backwards onto the floor. He lay there a few minutes before seeing a man standing over him. Akhenaten blinked, recognizing him as one of the artists that he had hired. "Shoo!" He pointed and snapped his fingers. "What is your name?" "I'm Sobekotep, my pharaoh. Are you all right?" "Sobekotep, what are you doing here? Aren't all the artists supposed to be in Akhetaten?" "Most of us are there, yes. A few of us are getting ready to make another trip there to add some finishing touches to the boundary stellae. We would like your approval on this latest one." "What? I can't be bothered with that right now. My wife is giving birth." "I'll gladly recite it for you." "What? Is he for real?" I demanded. "Ooh," from Troll Nurse. "I want to hear it." "Shut up," from T and I both. I had half a mind to shove my foot into her face. Hard. "Can't this wait?" Akhenaten asked, getting up and brushing himself off. "Well, the sooner we have an opinion, the sooner we can make the long trip to Akhetaten and make it final," Sobekotep said with a smile. "Oh, very well, but be quick." "Does he have to do it in here, at this moment?" I asked. "If we hear him out, then he'll leave." "Akhenaten, there's a baby coming out of me." "I want to hear it," Troll Nurse said again. "Quiet, you old fart," T spat. "Oh, please do hurry," Akhenaten sighed. "Very well," Sobekotep beamed, clearing his throat and holding up a papyrus scroll. "My heart is pleased with the queen and her children. May grand, great old age be granted to the great Queen Nefertiti, for she is in charge of Pharaoh. And may grand, great old age be granted to her children, Princess Meridaten and Princess Akhetaten, for they are under the authority of Her Majesty, their mother, forever and evermore." "In charge of Pharaoh?" Akhenaten questioned, blushing a little. "I wouldn't say that. Did I write this?" "Well, no, Highness," Sobekotep stammered. "You don't like it?" "Well, it's fine, except I don't like the part where it says—" "Shut up!" I ordered. "Don't change a single word. After what you put me through, give me my glory." Akhenaten could only reply by gulping loudly. "It's fine then. Make it so." "She's scarier than my wife," Sobekotep whispered. As if on cue, the girls wandered in. Was I some special feature at a drive-in or something? But Meridaten, to my surprise, walked up to Sobekotep. "Hey, you." It is a pleasure to behold the magnificent Princess Meridaten," he smiled down at her. "Did you come from Akhetaten?" "Why, yes, I did. It's almost ready for you to see, too." She held out her hands, encouraging Akhetaten to do the same. "Then give us our presents." "Girls!" Akhenaten scolded gruffly. "Princesses or not, you should mind your manners." He then sighed and shrugged at Sobekotep. "I know I'm not obligated to do so, but I would like to apologize. I am dreadfully sorry." "Oh, no," he smiled. "It's all right, really. I have 4 children of my own. 2 girls and 2 boys. Complete terrors, a lot of them. But I wouldn't trade them for anything." He rustled in his satchel as the girls waited. "Aha!" He placed a few lovely stones in Meridaten's hands and some feathers in Akhetaten's. They admired their gifts, and this seemed to appease them. for about 5 seconds. They rushed off just as quickly as they had come in, arguing over who had the better present. "Did everybody forget about me?" I demanded. "I'm having a baby over here, and I would really like to be the center of attention. I'm entitled to it, don't you think?" "Forgive me, my queen," Akhetaten said, bowing humbly. "May you give birth safely." "Get out and I will. I'm tired of your audience." I had to admit, looking back on the matter, Akhetaten was quite a good sport. I really hadn't meant to be rude, but he seemed quite understanding nevertheless. He gave another polite bow and then took his leave. Last I checked, this birth was supposed to be easier, but I was in labor all day. By the end of the day, we fired the 2 young midwives, broke 4 vases, lost our voices twice, and finally welcomed the arrival of another baby girl. As always, Akhetaten was quick to whisk her up and place a name on her. Akhetaten, living through Aten. She was, so far, the largest of the 3, with quiet but forceful cries. She marked a new milestone in our lives. It had been 3 months since the birth of baby Akhetaten. Both she and I were recovering rather nicely. Things adjusted once more within our family, and then fell back into some form of what we could consider normal. Akhetaten still ruled as the oldest, most dominant child over her sisters, and any young children born of the court. And the court, come to think of it. Akhetaten was still what I would consider the shy child, more content to merely suck on her thumb than to cause mischief. With new baby sister Akhetaten in the mix came a new element: noise. Akhetaten was by far the loudest of my children, and the most frequent to be heard. Ha! Frequent crier miles! Hey, even I'm entitled to a really lame joke now and again. She was needy, as most babies are, but sometimes there was just nothing to fix, bringing us to the conclusion that she simply enjoyed hearing the sound of her own voice. 2 days before our planned departure to Akhetaten, Akhetaten did something that seemed to dumbfound younger members of his court. Men that had been boys with him were now green ministers. He took the day off. He declared that no political matters, no forms of royal business would be carried out that day. The entire day was for him to set aside his kingship and focus on what he deemed the most important: his daughters, to be what he felt was most meaningful: a father. Akhetaten and Akhetaten chased each other about the garden and between our chairs. Akhetaten hopped into an empty seat, teasing Akhetaten with a toy. "Come on, Akhetaten, get it!" "Stop holding it so high, Akhetaten. No fair." "Watch out for the baby," I warned. She was seated on a spread on the ground, watching everything with absolute awe as she gummed on her own fists. Akhetaten bent down to pick her up and held her high over his head. "Oh, look at the mighty Princess Akhetaten. Is she a bird? Is she a bird? See the birdie flying high." "Ooh, Akhetaten, be careful with her," I warned. "She just ate. Let her settle some." "Don't be silly," he scoffed. "She's fine." He turned up his head to look at his high-flying daughter. "You're fine. Aren't you fine? You're fine, aren't you?" Blech. Ew. Akhetaten stood, deadpan expression on his face. I could only point at him and laugh hysterically, which prompted the girls to do the same. "Daddy, you look like a big bird pooed on you," Akhetaten laughed. "I told you," I forced out. He handed Akhetaten to me as I handed him a rag and used another to clean the laughing baby. "You might want to change your clothes. She got you really good." "That's my baby sister," Akhetaten said proudly, puffing out her chest. We met him later in the corridor after having a nice brief lunch. He certainly looked much better and refreshed in clean clothes. "Oh, look at you." "I smell good, too," he teased. "And shaven, I see. No more monkey man." He looked at his legs. It was recommended and common in Egyptian customs to be clean-shaven of all body hair. Cleanliness was close to godliness, and hairless bodies were cleaner. "Is that him?" we heard close by. A man and a woman approached, getting to their knees and prostrating before us. "Can I help you?" he asked. They looked like nobles of some sort. I wasn't really that familiar with them. Not at all, actually. The man was dressed in full garb, wearing small articles of jewelry and large earrings. The woman was plump, in a full dress and exaggerated Nubian wig. After being acknowledged, they stood cheerfully. "This is such a great honor," the man said. "We would like to discuss something with you, your honorable majesty." "What would this something consist of?" he asked. "A fabulous political trade." "Political?" he repeated. "I'm sorry. Today I am hearing no politics. You will have to schedule a more appropriate appointment with me." "You will not see us?" the woman asked. "I'm already engaged in an important event. Today has been promised to my daughters. They are in command of today." He thought a moment. "Actually, I had specifically ordered my guards that I was not to be seen today." "When would be a better time?" the man asked. Akhetaten began to pull on Akhetaten's kilt. "Daddy, we want to play!" "In just a moment, princess." "You promised!" He gave a defeated sigh. "Look, things are rather chaotic around here now. I would suggest returning another time, after the completion of Akhetaten, where we are settling the new capital of Egypt." "But Pharaoh," the lady pleaded. "If it must be handled now, then be directed to my mother. But I am a man of my word, and I have promised my daughters command of the day. Before I act as king, I will act as father." Akhetaten gave one last hard tug, and fell back onto her bottom on the floor, kilt in her lap. "Uh-oh." "Well," the lady gasped, grasping at her heart. The man coughed and looked away. As for Akhetaten, he blushed deeply and hid behind me. I fought hard to hold my laughter, avoiding the opportunity to make this any more humiliating than it was. I suppose it was not just out of my good humor, but my pride. Let that woman envy what I had. Ha! "Very well, mighty Pharaoh Akhetaten," the man said, being bold enough to call him by name. "If we stay too long, my wife may very well decide she wants to stay." "There is no room in his bed for another wife," I chuckled, only half humorously. "I have taken the monopoly." "Yes," he muttered. "Come now, dear. It is rather rude to witness His Highness's hiney." Her reply to him was a nod and a small giggle as they turned to leave us. After they were out of sight, he let out a long, heavy exhale. "Why does everyone find humor at my expense?" he asked, snatching up his kilt from Akhetaten. "I find it rather amusing to a degree," I replied. "Humph! And you always accuse me of such dirty thoughts. Look at you now." "Don't dwell on it. I think she was quite pleased, and he grew quite jealous." I gave his rear a slap, but right after came Merodach and Akhetaten, imitating me and slapping his rear as well. Akhetaten, confined to my arms, clapped her hands together. "Girls!" "Put your kilt back on," I said, holding Akhetaten up so she could slap on his face. "We'll wait for you, sweet cheeks." "You're horrible," he sighed. He readjusted his kilt and tied his belt tightly, leaning over to kiss my lips. Actually, I shouldn't be offended or ashamed. The human body is a beautiful piece of art. "Daddy, hurry!" Akhetaten insisted. "Yeah, hurry!" Merodach laughed. "She might pull off your kilt again." He gave a fake frown and whined. "Nefertiti, I have become a slave to my daughters." I could only chuckle and nod as they took his hand and led him along. The entire day, as promised, was devoted to them. But these were not prissy little girls. They played very rough, a fact that Akhetaten felt the full brunt of, realizing just how much potential spunk rested within their genes. I mercilessly left them to it, taking Akhetaten to be down for her nap. I retired thereafter to the throne room. The silence there didn't last long as Akhetaten stormed in and nearly crawled into his throne, panting heavily. "Nefertiti, help me. They won't get tired." "You know very well that 2 girls under the age of 10 will be like that," I replied. "I tried everything, including having my mother kidnap them. Nothing is working. My military tactics, they're not working." "Ugh, if that is how you will run a war, then Egypt should surrender now," I laughed, poking my head into the corridor. "Girls, he's in here!" "Traitor!" he cried. "How could you expose your own husband?" I dramatically threw my arms in the air. Because! Come on, girls, before he runs away! He gave a whimper as the girls came rushing in, screaming and cheering like wild animals. They tackled him, trying to tickle him. Truth be told, despite how invincible he tried to make himself appear, he was horribly ticklish. I could no longer resist. I wanted to play too. No, he laughed as I bounced over, moving the girls aside and scooted onto his lap. Not you too! I fought to grab his wrists, and he fought to grab mine. Akhetaten and Akhetaten leapt onto either arm of the throne and crawled into our laps, refusing to leave him be. Praise to the craftsman who made that throne. It held such weight and survived such torture. He fought hard to free himself, but we fought just as hard to keep him held down. This game, surprisingly, extended itself for 2 full hours before we all finally grew rather exhausted. All right. Okay, you win. I give up, he laughed in his surrender. Oh, I'm tired. He hugged all of us the best as he could. Before one by one we slipped from his lap. Marvelous! A man screeched, making me scream in surprise. The girls wrapped about my legs. He was a young man, a young teenager, in fact. He had to be no older than 14. My husband frowned. Who are you? I said that I would have no business. What part of that does no one understand? Oh, no, my pharaoh, he said in a desperate attempt to defend himself. No business. It's not like that. I am Hara. That's a girl's name, Akhetaten interrupted. Hara gave her a glare, but chose to ignore that comment. Obviously, one he got often. I am an artist. I'm afraid I do not remember you from the artisans that I have looked over. And you still have not explained why you are here, Akhetaten stated. Of course, I was not one of the artists vying for the chance to work in Akhetaten's construction. I'm afraid I didn't have the nerve to show my work to His Highness. So why are you here now? I wanted to... You said that you had no business, he frowned. Do not take to lying to me. I actually had come into this room quite some time ago, before you and your family arrived. I had heard that you were not seeing anyone today, so I assumed this would be the room that would be empty if you would not be conducting business in it. The guards were generous enough to let me in. I was unaware it would displease His Highness and company. I came in here praying for inspiration and confidence. Then your family entered, and I was able to see a part of the royal family that no one ever lays eyes upon. I feel honored to have seen and captured such a cherished moment. Captured? Hara nervously came forward with a papyrus and handed it over to him. Well, the style was rather exaggerated, but very sweet nevertheless. On a throne was painted an almost abstract king. I, the queen, was painted awkwardly in his lap. 2 small naked figures suspended from my arms. It was quite a warm picture to see, if not a little odd to the eye. You did this just now? Akhetaten asked. Yes, your majesty, Hara replied nervously. This is quite interesting, and rather fun to look at. Hara blushed modestly. I just love to paint, but I've been an apprentice and not very good at it. I'm sure I do not compare at all to the others who have gone to the city. Your modesty is cute. Cute? I asked with a laugh. That sounds awkward for you to say to someone you don't know. It's fine, your grace, Hara said, blushing even more deeply. I don't mind. Any praise of any kind from Pharaoh is an immense honor. And a boost to your confidence and ego, Akhetaten added with a chuckle. I want to see, Akhetaten demanded, hopping back into Akhetaten's lap and looking the picture over. No, it's right. Akhetaten does have a big head. I do not, Akhetaten cried out, climbing on the arm of the throne, both starting to yank at the other's youth lock. Girls, Akhetaten scolded. Enough of that. She said that I have a big head, Akhetaten accused, pointing at her sister. She does. Do not. You have a big head, and a big butt, too. Why, you... Again they attacked one another, with Akhetaten playing the part of battlefield. He was trapped and looking rather desperate as Hara and I looked on. "That is a remarkable piece of durable craftsmanship," he commented, confirming my thoughts from earlier about the throne. "You are quite an observant young man," I chuckled. "If the maker was still alive, I would reward him myself." "May the thrones of Akhetaten be so sturdy." "Nefertiti!" Akhetaten pleaded. I could only laugh at his pathetic predicament. I gave my hands a clap. "Watch it pro, my love. If you two don't stop it and calm down for a little while, I'm going to put you two to bed." The pair stopped, giving me a shocked expression like frightened cats, and began to cry out in unison. "No, we don't want to go to bed now." "Then you two need to calm down and apologize to your father and each other." Meridaten sighed. "All right. Akhetaten, I'm sorry I said you had a big head." "I'm sorry, too. You don't have a big butt." Both then turned to their father and hugged him, sliding off of his lap. "We're really sorry." He stared at them in a strange sense of awe and surprise. "Nefertiti, how did you do that?" "Oh, how mighty is Her Majesty!" Hara beamed, with such admiration over me. I kind of liked it. Okay, I loved it. "Indeed," I said proudly, "mothers are gifted with mighty magical powers."